The vampire mother and her daughters try to feed on robbers because they are hungry and thirsty. The movie begins on a peaceful snowy night, with soft snow falling gently from the sky, making everything look magical. A car is gliding down an empty road, the sound of the radio filling the air. The radio reports on the weather and breaking news. 5 people have just robbed a bank and escaped. A reward is being offered for any information about them. Meanwhile, the person in the car throws money out the window as they drive, perhaps because it's Christmas Eve. The car stops outside a brightly lit restaurant, decorated beautifully for Christmas. Inside, the restaurant manager is listening to the news about the robbers, who were all dressed as Santa Claus. Suddenly, 4 men dressed in Santa outfits walk into the restaurant. The manager, Colin, immediately recognizes them as the robbers from the news. Instead of calling the police, Colin quietly offers them a private room with a bar, assuring them they can stay the night safely. He hands them the key and walks away. The room is spacious and decorated for the holidays, with lights sparkling and a well-stocked bar. The robbers, who use code names to hide their real identities, Prancer, Snowman, Grinch, and Father Christmas, start settling in. Grinch, who is rude and easily annoyed, asks for food. Snowman, busy drinking at the bar, throws him a packet of peanuts. When Prancer tries to offer him something better, Grinch snaps at him. Grinch also complains about his code name, saying he wants to be called Snowman instead. Meanwhile, another member of the gang, Rudolph, stops at a gas station to fill up his car. He whistles while paying the cashier, but the cashier recognizes him as one of the robbers because his hand and dollar is filled with blood. So, she secretly calls the police. Rudolph, unaware, drives off toward the restaurant. Back at the restaurant, the group begins setting up security. Father Christmas orders Grinch to place sensors around the building to keep them safe. While doing so, Grinch helps himself to food from the kitchen. The story shifts to a disturbing scene where a young woman, Jeannie, is tied to a chair, struggling in pain. A strange creature, Celine, who looks like a vampire, approaches her and bites her neck. The woman screams for mercy, but the vampire doesn't stop. The robbers hear the scream from their room. Prancer grows nervous and asks, "What was that sound?" But Snowman brushes it off. In the next scene, a powerful mother vampire appears with her 2 daughters, Victoria and Lucia. She scolds them, saying she provides everything they need, then why Selena started feeding on her sister. She then commands them to hunt the humans hiding in the restaurant. "Follow your Christmas wishes, my babies," she says, as her daughters grow eager to attack. Back in the room, Prancer notices the sensors are not working and asks Grinch if he turned them on. Grinch, annoyed as always, starts arguing. Father Christmas, tired of their fighting, sends Prancer to check the sensors himself. Grinch jokingly gives him a silver spoon for protection, telling him to bring it back. Outside, Rudolph rests in his car, but is startled awake by the sound of police sirens. He quickly starts the engine and drives off into the snowy night. Prancer steps out to activate the sensors and finds Father Christmas sitting by a fire, drinking and thinking. Prancer approaches cautiously, but Father Christmas points a gun at him, asking why he's sneaking around. Prancer reassures him, and they begin talking. Father Christmas admits he's scared, but hides it, because he believes a leader must stay strong for his team. Father Christmas then asks Prancer why someone as smart as him, a double doctorate graduate from MIT, would be involved in crime. Prancer explains that he turned to robbery to pay off his late father's debts. His mother died of cancer, and now he's all alone. Father Christmas advises him to focus on surviving and sends him back inside. Meanwhile, the restaurant manager, Colin, is approached by Tony, a man he owes money to. Tony demands payment, but Colin doesn't have the full amount. To calm Tony down, Colin gives him some money that he has taken from the robbers. Tony becomes suspicious and asks where the money came from, but Colin lies, saying it's a Christmas gift. The vampire mother suddenly appears, scaring Tony. He tries to flirt with her, but Colin makes an excuse to send him away. After Tony leaves, the vampire woman angrily tells Colin never to order her around again, smashing a glass to make her point. Back in the robber's room, Blake, one of the group, notices unusual activity on the sensors near the pool. Father Christmas sends Snowman to check it out. At the pool, Snowman finds two young women, Victoria and Celine, swimming and starts chatting with them. He offers to bring them drinks from the bar, and they happily agree. But he doesn't realize they're vampires. Inside, the vampires continue their sinister plans. Mother Vampire forces blood into a girl named Jeannie, who is tied up, trying to turn her into a vampire. Blake watches the cameras and notices Colin talking to someone who isn't visible. Unknown to him, Colin is speaking with the vampire woman, who doesn't appear on the cameras because of her nature. Lucia, one of the vampire daughters, reflects on her past. She asks her mother about Jeannie, who was once a girl dreaming of becoming an actress. Her mother explains that Jeannie is afraid of them, but will change once she becomes one of them. Fear isn't hate, the mother says. She fears death, but once she enters our world, that fear will disappear. Meanwhile, Colin secretly calls the police to report the robbers, but Rudolph catches him. Rudolph tells Colin to pass on a message to the team. Their ride is ready. Snowman returns to the room, excited about the women by the pool. They're hotter than hell, he brags. Father Christmas, however, is suspicious and warns everyone to stay alert. He sends Grinch to accompany Snowman back to the pool with drinks for the women. Outside, Rudolph is lighting a fire when the vampire mother approaches him. She flirts with him, but he grows suspicious as she asks about his team. She mentions Jack, one of the robbers, revealing she knows more than she's letting on. The vampires grow closer to their prey, and the robbers begin to realize they are not alone in the restaurant. Danger is closing in as the night grows darker. Rudolph grew wary, his instincts kicking in as he took a cautious step back. His fingers tightened around the handle of a knife he had pulled from his pocket. He told the woman in front of him that she should head inside and that he'd join her after taking care of something. His words carried an air of unease, but the woman wasn't convinced. With a flick of her cigarette, she challenged him, asking if the so-called Jack he had mentioned even existed. Rudolph hesitated but replied truthfully, admitting he had never met these people and wasn't drunk, though his words were edged with uncertainty. The woman's demeanor changed, her frustration surfacing. Her irritation grew so intense that her true nature emerged. She was a vampire. Her features shifted, becoming more monstrous, and she began to advance on Rudolph. He stumbled, his voice trembling, as he questioned what was wrong with her. She only sneered, her voice cold as ice, stating the obvious. He was alone and unarmed. Panic set in for Rudolph, but it was already too late. The vampire lunged at him with lightning speed, and he had no chance to defend himself. Pain shot through him, and his screams tore through the quiet night as she fed on him. His blood spilled onto the snow, turning the pristine white into a horrifying shade of red. Nearby, Grinch and Snowman made their way toward the pool area. Snowman's chatter filled the air as he complimented the girls they were about to meet. But Grinch remained skeptical, warning that these girls might not be what they seemed. They could even be connected to the army. Elsewhere in the control room, Prancer was busy scanning the computer for information. His search pinpointed the girl's location, room 666. Feeling uneasy, he opened a drawer and retrieved the key to that ominous room. Back outside, Colin stumbled upon the vampire woman, who was still hunched over Rudolph's lifeless body, feeding on his blood. His stomach turned as he took in the horrifying scene. The words slipped out of his mouth in shock as he pleaded with her, trying to convince her they couldn't leave Rudolph like that. The vampire barely glanced up, her voice calm yet cold. She made it clear she had no intention of stopping now, leaving Rudolph's blood to continue spreading across the snow like spilled wine on a white tablecloth. By the pool, Victoria and Selina, the vampire sisters, were waiting. Snowman arrived with a carefree air, holding up bottles and making jokes about how their mother wouldn't approve of his offerings. Victoria chuckled at his audacity, finding his antics amusing. Grinch, standing nearby, tried to make a call, but Selene interjected, reminding him this wasn't a place for work. Grinch reluctantly explained he was just notifying his boss. At the same time, Father Christmas crunched through the snow outside the restaurant, his face clouded with worry. Meanwhile, Prancer entered room 666. Using the flashlight on his phone, he carefully navigated through the dark space. His eyes fell on a mysterious book. He flipped through its pages, his fingers hesitating on certain symbols and text. A sinking feeling settled over him as he pulled out his phone to make a call. Outside, Father Christmas received a call from Blake. Blake's voice carried a note of urgency as he warned Father Christmas about the book, mentioning it seemed connected to some kind of devil worship. Father Christmas pressed for details, but Blake admitted he didn't know much. Father Christmas barked instructions for Blake to head back to the bar and inform Grinch that no police should be involved in this situation. Grinch's phone buzzed with the message as he stood outside smoking. When he saw the text, he exclaimed aloud, his voice dripping with sarcasm, about how meeting the girls was a miracle. Victoria overheard him and giggled, her laughter laced with amusement. Grinch left Snowman with the girls and headed off. Inside the bar, Father Christmas told Rudolph to make a call, but the sound of Rudolph's phone ringing nearby caught his attention. Alarmed, he grabbed his gun and began searching for him. It wasn't long before his flashlight revealed Rudolph's body sprawled in the snow, lifeless and covered in blood. Regret hit Father Christmas like a punch to the gut. He quickly called Grinch, who answered the phone while still outside. Father Christmas's voice was grave as he explained that the girls weren't who they thought. They were vampires. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he ordered Grinch to return to the bar immediately. Meanwhile, in room 666, Prancer's search revealed a hidden chain. When he pulled it, the lights flickered on, illuminating a girl tied to a chair. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with terror. Jeannie warned Prancer to leave immediately, her voice trembling with urgency. Before Prancer could act, a figure entered the room, Lucia. She was elegant but dangerous, her presence radiating menace as she approached. She complimented Prancer, almost mockingly, before lunging at him. Prancer fought back with whatever he could grab, stabbing her with a spoon Grinch had handed him earlier. To his shock, the spoon worked. Lucia's body started burning as her blood spilled onto the floor. Moments later, she turns into ashes, leaving Prancer bewildered and shaken. The girl tied to the chair, Jeannie, urged Prancer to act quickly. Together, they escaped the room, her chains now unlocked. By the pool, Snowman was enjoying himself with the vampire sisters. But when he surfaced from underwater, they had vanished. His calls to them echoed unanswered, replaced by terrifying female voices that seemed to come from all around him. Panic gripped him as he fled, only to meet a gruesome fate. When Grinch arrived at the pool, he found Snowman's lifeless body floating face down in the water. Horror clawed at him, and he fled back to the bar. Back at the bar, the group was in disarray. Father Christmas explained the danger they were in, revealing the truth about the women. They were vampires. The group decided to arm themselves and prepare for a fight. Jeannie, though a vampire herself now, insisted she didn't want to harm anyone and wanted to help. Victoria and Selena attacked the bar, but the group managed to fend them off using UV grenades. Selena turned to ashes, while Victoria fled, half-burned. In this fight, Grinch also died, and Father Snowman is also bitten by a vampire. So, he remained back and asked them to leave. At the same time, Victoria approaches by knowing they have killed her sisters. Father Snowman also turns her into ashes through UV light. As dawn approached, the fight intensified. Mother Vampire arrived, her magic amplifying the chaos. Prancer and Jeannie tried to escape together, but Mother Vampire confronted them. In a desperate attempt, Blake used another UV grenade, destroying Mother Vampire and Jeannie as the first rays of sunlight broke the horizon. Blake, now alone, left the bar behind, driving away. But the nightmare wasn't over. Colin, who had stolen the loot during the chaos, encountered Rudolph, now turned into a vampire. Rudolph attacked, sealing Colin's fate. And with that, the harrowing tale came to an end. If you like this movie, then don't forget to subscribe the channel.